Morning, everyone. We've had relentless torrential rain. My God, it's just been like fast forwarding into November. But today, thanks be to God, it's not wet, so I'm able to go out and harvest some beautiful purple loosestrife, and I'm looking for some marsh woundwort for a friend of mine as well. So I know my brother has plenty of it in this field here. So we haven't had a chance to do any of the work we were talking about because of the weather. So I want to get these two plants harvested now while it's dry, and then we'll be back into the garden to do some preparation at the back of the house. Hey, look at this, isn't it beautiful? Look at the colours. You've got lady's bed straw next to the heather, and it just is so stunning. And then there's the devil's bit scabious and the clover and the knapweed. Look at all the blackberries as well. So there's lots of blackberries. So get some purple loosestrife. This is in the Weed Handbook 1, Volume 1. It's a wonderful, wonderful plant. Look at that beautiful, that's water mint. It's a wild mint. And when we were children, we were romping around and rolling around in the fields. There's always this lovely mint smell. And of course, it's a smell that I associate with my childhood here. That is so pungent. Lots of it here. It's beautiful. I might get some of that too. So you come out for one thing and you never know what you might find. And of course, this is the mint that was sacred to the Druids. Not the mint that we grow in our gardens, but this one. So I was just listening to a podcast about beekeeping, and the lady who was being interviewed was saying that in the UK, which is different to Ireland, it's a different place, but it's next door to us. In the UK, over the last 70 years, they have lost 98% of their wildflower meadows, and they've lost thousands and thousands of miles of hedgerows, and they've also been cutting trees down. So it's very difficult for bees to forage to get sufficient honey supplies for themselves. And yet we come in here in this rough ground here, and there's multiple types of wildflowers. So we've got purple loosestrife, we've got the marsh woundwort, there's wild mint, there's knapweed, there's meadowsweet, there's wild carrot, there's cow parsley, there's devil's bit scabious, and numerous others that I haven't had a chance to go around and look at yet. But it's just great to see so many flowers still visible, still here to collect and to observe and to appreciate. Yeah, lady's bed straw and the brambles, of course. Oh, it's lovely. So anyway, I better get on with my harvest. Found some eyebright as well. It's amazing, from one side of the road to the other, I don't have eyebright growing anywhere near me, on my bit of land. But here it is on Sean's land. So that's interesting. And look at this. We've got some little mushrooms here. I don't think they are the edible field mushrooms. I don't know what they are. But it's just good to see them, because even though this soil is very shallow, it's obviously got some mycelia running through it underneath. So, and look at these colours. And next to the white quartz and granite rocks, this is what I could feast my eyes on all day. I just love it. It's just, the beauty is, Oh. So we're back with the wild harvest. It's just there on the table, and I just want to show you these evening primrose. See all these little buds that end up growing down the stem? It's where the flowers were, and each little bud is full of seeds. So, and these must just pop open, and that's why we've got evening primrose absolutely everywhere. It's everywhere. So I think I'm going to keep some of the seed pods and spread them up and down the road every time I go walking. But if you remember last week, I was saying that 18 months ago I started to change this area, and through one reason and another it hasn't been completed, and I think I'm going to draw a plan so I know exactly what I'm doing and I can be more focused. But we haven't done anything since last week because of the weather. It's just been terrible. So we did take the opportunity to have a day out, and we went to visit Inisheer, which is the smallest of the Aran Islands off the west coast. And we went to Inisheer because Lol had a piece of art in an exhibition that's at the art centre there. So it was lovely to go and see that and to see all the other work. Quite a rough crossing. We're just on the tail end of this Ernesto storm or tornado or whatever it was. So pretty rough. I've never been on such a rough local crossing. But it didn't take too long to get here, and despite the grey, miserable sky and the odd showers of rain, it's a very lovely place to be. So it's got a lot of history. It's only 2.5 miles by 1.5 miles. And the population is 250 to 300 people. So after a lovely cup of tea at Cafe Una, we headed off to do some exploring. And I just find it's so interesting the way they do their walls here. They're very different to our walls. Stone walls are all over Ireland, and there's lots of different ways to build them, but it's very noticeable the difference between the islands and Connemara. This is part of the Burren really, and so it's mainly limestone, and they just have different techniques because they're working with different stones. And the Burren is world famous for its plants because of the limestone. So you can go to the Burren or you can come to the Aran Islands and you can find plants that exist at sea level next to plants that exist in alpine conditions. And St. Gobinet is associated with Inisheer because in the 6th century she fled from County Clare to the island here to escape a family feud. And so she has a little church here, and there is a beehive hut, which there was a beehive hut, it's no longer there. And she went on to become associated with bees. So she's got a lot of similarities to Bridget actually. And once she was able to, worked so closely with her bees that once she was able to actually repel an attack on the local people's cattle by sending a swarm of bees after the perpetrators. So we are here really to go up to the Arts Centre to see Lol's piece of work. And outside there are lots of photographs of the island from the late 19th and early 20th century.
This lady is wearing the Galway shawl, and we were incredibly delighted to find her great-granddaughter in the community centre, looking very similar to her great-grandmother actually. And I love this picture here because there's two little boys in the picture and they're both wearing dresses, as you can see, and that was very traditional on the west coast of Ireland because the belief in those days was that the fairies were more likely to steal boys than they were to steal girls. And so the boys were dressed in dresses until they reached about 6 or 7, which is when they got their first trousers. And these boats were used to bring turf to the island because they didn't have a bog. They don't have bogs on the island, so they have to import their turf for fuel. So it's an amazing little history lesson really through those beautiful photographs. So this is a venue for music and entertainment as well as being an exhibition space. So Lol's piece of work is up here. This is an exhibition celebrating the bodhrán really, and also to raise money through an auction to raise money to buy musical instruments for the local children. So various people have been asked to send in a piece of work on a bodhrán. People from the local community, 16 and 17-year-olds, and to very well-known people as well, such as Christy Moore, who is a very famous Irish musician, and Ruth Dillon, and also Lol Hardiman. And his exhibit is a snail's eye view. And there it is. Oh, it's a craft shop. I've got to go in here. I want to get something for Lol, and I hope that they have it. What a gorgeous little shop this was, and the patrons of the shop were just wonderful as well. Fiannon and his mother, and I was able to practice my wee bit of Irish. Standing on the top of the hill overlooking the island is the O'Brien Castle. It was a 15th century tower house, but it was captured by Cromwell in the 17th century. So we're just walking along now, having a look around because we almost have to go back for the ferry. But this graveyard, I'm always interested in graveyards, and this one has burial sites here dating back to the 1500s BC, so it's absolutely ancient. This is a church that was built 1,000 years ago, and it was dedicated to Saint Ceibhán, who would be the patron saint of the island, and he is the saint that the fishermen would call to for assistance when the seas were rough, and they celebrated him each year. And probably still do. And look, can you believe it? Here on this part of the coast is some beautiful eyebright, growing away just after I found it across the wall from me at home. And even though it's a horrible grey day, the sea, it always has blue and green in it. Look at that. You wouldn't think it was raining every 2 minutes. So, back home now to Connemara, just across the water. So the bodhrán exhibition that we specifically went over to see because Lol has a piece in it will be there until the 31st of August.
And each bodhrán will be auctioned off so that they'll raise money, they'll raise funds to provide musical instruments for the children in the local schools, I think. So if you want to have a look at it, it's online. It's Aris Éana on Inisheer. I'll put a link below anyway. So I'm pulling these out and then I'm going in to make my plan. So I'm going to make the most of today's weather because it's actually quite warm and it's bright and sunny despite the wind. So it's a good opportunity to get stuck in. So I'll see you next week and hopefully there'll be more to show.
I hope you enjoyed today's film. If you did, subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And have a look at the website danusirishherbgarden.com for more information about us and about the herbal medicine courses I offer and the Wise Woman Way training. And if you go to the shop, you can find the books, the weed handbooks and other herbal goodies. And remember, we put a new film out every Sunday. So looking forward to seeing you next week.